Central Coast Amateur Radio Club 2-metre net. Now these nets are held every Thursday evening on the VK2 RAG 2-metre repeater, also streamed live via Facebook from our club Facebook page, and also via Echo Link via the ham conference server, thanks to John VK3HJQ. So we are also being broadcast all over the place. So for tonight's net, what we will do is normally we go for 3 rounds, and we go through and normally pick some form of topic of discussion. There were a few good topics of discussion suggested for tonight, but what we will do is we'll open that up out to the floor. But for the moment, let's go through and take check-ins. So we'll take check-ins from the local repeater check-ins.
Yeah, VK2FDWY. VK2FABR. VK2 Golf. VK2MJ. VK2 Echo Foxtrot Mike.
Okay, fantastic there. So we've got quite a few stations there. We've got VK2FDWY, VK2FABR, VK2GG, VK2MG, and VK2EFM. Were there any other stations from the local repeater?
VK2SKC.
Acknowledging Steve there. VK2 SKC. Thanks very much there, Steve. Welcome, mate. Okay, let's move over to Echo Link. Any Echo Link stations out there?
VK2RH.
VK4AKH. Victor Zulu 2 Acme.
Acknowledging there can VK4AKH and VK2DY. Were there any other stations out there? Fantastic. Alrighty, so what we'll go through and do, thank you very much for those that did come through and check in. It's greatly appreciated. So I can also see VK2WY Lindsay has also gone through and dropped in via the Echo Link connection. So I will go through and I'll drop you in there, Lindsay. Welcome, mate. Alright, so I guess we'll go for the first round and we'll just really come through and check in to see how everybody's been for the week and what news have you got as far as basically as far as any sort of anything amateur radio related, anything new in the life of you, any outstanding issues that you wanted to go through and chat about. So we'll go off and we'll kick off to the top of the list there. We'll go to Dave, VK2 FDWY, VK2 NMZ.
VK2 NMZ, VK2 FDWY. I had an amplifier, an audio amplifier I was using as a amp for the MIDI system. That popped during the week. That just wouldn't play. So had a look at it. Had a modular earphone system which has got a fault in it, and to replace it means getting the entire module PC board from overseas. So I just threw the thing out. So now I'm in the market for looking for a new audio stereo amp so I can run the speakers and as a driver of the sound to put for the Audacity and other stuff. Apart from that, a couple of trips to Sydney during the week. Unable to go to the restaurants tonight because they've closed. Those major ones I go to, they've all had this 100 people limitation, so they've closed indefinitely. And I'm not surprised what's happening that way, but apart from that, radio-wise, another great deal. I'm doing a lot more writing, a lot more stuff at the computer and going through the sheet music, because when I buy sheet music, I just normally put it in a folder, and when I've got 2 or 3 dozen sheets, I go through and put them in the annual year fob binders. So the last couple of days I've been doing that task. VK2 FDWY, VK2 NMZ.
VK2 FDWY, VK2 NMZ. Well, mate, it's definitely sounds like you're quite been quite busy there, and yeah, needing a new interface for your board, that's going to be quite a tough one. It really, I guess, it depends on how much money you want to go through and spend. Um, you can go from your cheap interface to something like a like a multi-track PreSonus mixer with motorized faders. I mean, hey, there's so many out there, and you're absolutely right. With a lot of the restaurants, they are closing, and I haven't been to the city recently, but I'm going to assume that it is going to be quite a bit of a ghost town. But I know I'll be heading into my work on or tomorrow, so that's something I'll be definitely be going off and seeing and being able to go off and experience myself. So that's all good there, mate. So let's go off and we'll move down the list there to Matt. VK2 FABR, VK2 NMZ.
VK2 NMZ, VK2 FABR. Good evening, Brad. Good evening to everyone else. Well, I have had, I guess, somewhat of a stressful, well, a tiny bit of a stressful week so far, as since the last net. You know, just trying to get supplies, trying to get things from the supermarket. I'm sure most people can identify with that. But anyway, I have a brand new toy, and it's a dual band and DMR handheld transceiver, and it is awesome. And on top of that, I had some brilliant help from a brilliant, amazingly kind and generous person who is none other than our host tonight, Brad, who assisted me with his expert knowledge and time and skill, and assisted with, well, he basically did pretty much all of it. Put my antenna up on the roof, and the cabling, which my landlord helped me out with, and the reason being why I couldn't do it is because I have some disabilities. But anyway, so I'm extremely grateful for Brad's generosity and kindness, and also his expertise in guiding me into what cabling and what connectors and everything else I should get. But really pleased with this, and very sharp learning curve as far as the software and the transceiver goes. But it is great, and the Bofang is now just a backup, and back to the group, VK2 NMZ, VK2 FABR.
VK2 FABR, VK2 NMZ. Well, mate, yeah, it has definitely been quite a whirlwind of a week, and that transceiver that you did go through and get, which was the Anytone 878. Not a bad, I have to say, not a bad radio for the price point. It is very, very good and quite nice to play with it, and I myself, I wouldn't mind going through and having one. And yeah, you're more than welcome. On the side of the antenna side of things is where there and your place is now set up, and you'll probably more than likely find that the audio quality from the new transceiver is probably going to come through and be a whole lot nicer than your now backup radio. So mate, I'm very glad to go through and hear that, and that you're very pleased with your new toy. And I'm sure you'll go through and have quite a bit more fun, especially on the DMR side of things. So it's really good to hear that. So that's absolutely great. So let's go off and we'll move down there the list, and we'll go to VK2GG Dan, VK2 NMZ. Mate, long time no speak. How have you been, and what's news in the land of radio? And did you have any call outs or things that you'd like to discuss tonight?
Yeah, good stuff, Brad, and good evening to you and to all. Matt and Dave, good stuff, and most particularly, good on the DMR. Yeah, I'm into DMR, guys. I've got, I don't have an Anytone, but I've heard they're a good radio. I think you're right. think you're right, Brad, about the increase in audio quality from the Baofeng. I'm not a great lover of Baofeng. I've got some Retrobus RT3, and I bought the dual band one, which is not too bad. And I've got the mobile version in my car at the moment on dual band with DMR and mobile. I'm finding that a good system. Got a little hotspot that I can plug in and use while I'm mobile. Not that I do it a lot, but I can if I am somewhere. Good stuff on the disability too, Matt. I've got a bit of that problem. I need people to help me put antennas up. I can't go up ladders anymore. And fortunately, I'm able to get people to do that, which is great. And got some antennas up. Hopefully, I'm getting through this repeater okay. Appears to be receiving it okay. I'm getting 4 bars or something back. But I'm at Dora Creek near Morisset, so yeah, a bit further away than some of you guys. What else? What have I done this week? Call outs? No, none that really I was able to do anything with, Brad. I noted with interest that there were some Washington people who went to Bega. That was good during the bushfire crisis. What a long time ago that seems. Crikey. Oh dear. But yeah, good time for amateur radio and doing computer stuff, that's for sure. A lot of things I normally go to. I'll just rekey. I don't know what the time out is. Yeah, I forget. I haven't used this repeater a great deal. Anyway, yeah, a lot of things I go to. Meetings, we had a WISA meeting due on Tuesday that didn't happen, and a lot of churchy stuff that I do is now all cancelled. So, yeah, got on more time at home. Get on the radio. Good stuff. Some HF nets I go on. Since I moved to this house in Dora Creek, the shack is now a spare bedroom in the house, so very easy to get to. And I'm on HF nets. There's a West Lakes net 3 times a week in the morning. There's an early morning Stone and Crow's net that I get involved with on a Saturday morning at 6 o'clock. So yeah, a bit of radio, a bit of DMR. There's a fellow who I know is portable down in the middle of VK3. Spoke to him a few times on DMR. So yeah, having a lot of fun with DMR. Other digital modes, but mainly DMR. That VK DMR is fantastic. What have I been doing? Oh, that's about it, Brad. Lots of things, but particularly... And this net, I've been wanting to come here for a while, mate, and I know you've called into the WISA net a couple of times for us. Good on you for doing that. I've been meaning to call in here on a Thursday, but for some reason, things happen and I don't get here. But I'm here tonight. The footy doesn't particularly interest me tonight with the Bulldogs and the Cowboys, so I thought, oh, mate, I'll get on the radio. And good on you, Brad, for running the net. I'll be here for the next rounds anyway. VK2 NMZ, VK2JJ, over.
VK2 Alpha Sierra Sierra.
VK2RA.
The VK2JI.
And acknowledging their VK2 Alpha Sierra Sierra, and also acknowledging Ed VK2JI. Good evening there, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Yeah, so Dan, that's a whole heap of a lot of stuff that's been going on, and that's absolutely fantastic. And you are quite right, aside as of a lot of the Wyson crew heading out to Bega. And there were some many big days and some big hours that everyone went through and put in, and I do quite like that. You're absolutely right with the DMR front. It's actually quite a fair bit of fun, especially all the cross modes. Now for DMR, that's actually quite one thing to go through and call out is, while it has gone through and been delayed for the moment, but the club was going to be hosting a build day of MMDVMs. We had an expression of interest going, where we're going to go through and build our own via an STM board with an Arduino and a radio top hat. If you are looking at the Book of Faces stream, you will see that an example of one of those hotspots all over the front of the screen. So absolutely amazing there, Dan. That's incredible. So I know I did acknowledge Ed there before, so we'll come back down to you in a moment there, Ed. I wanted to drop in and say thank you so much for taking the time to go through and drop in. So we'll move over there to Alan, VK2MG, VK2 NMZ. What's new in the world of Alan? And did you go through and have any call-outs or things that you wanted to go through and bring up, Alan? Over to you.
VK2 NMZ and the group VK2MG. It's good to hear you again there, Dan. It's been a while. You probably don't recognise this call. You might recognise one earlier call. Would have been KVF. Probably been the last time I would have spoken to you. So it's good to hear you on RAG. What have I been up to? Oh, I've been up to a bit this week, haven't I? Went out and got myself a new Windows machine so I could actually program some of my radios, because the various brands here apparently don't do Mac software, which is not very helpful. And borrowed Brad's little SCU17 sound. I was an USB sound card, cat controller combo, and did some playing on the FT818 with FT8. Probably picked up about 100 calls over the last few days, which I was pretty pleased with. Discovered that this little 12 amp power supply that I've got will actually also let me drive up to 50 watts on the linear out of the 818, which kind of helps. Okay, I can't get to 100, but 50's not bad. So yeah, been playing with the digital with the FT8 and Whisper the like with the 818. Also programmed up the RT3S and was playing a bit of DMR on that. Got my antennas back in the air. The HF's back in the air. It still needs a bit of tuning. The G7FEK, and I got the Comet GP3 up, and it's what I'm using at the moment. I was commenting I'm getting Brad full scale direct here. Not sure what else I could mention here at the moment, but yeah, I'll put it back to you, Brad. VK2 NMZ, VK2MG.
VK2MG, VK2 NMZ, mate. Yeah, you definitely have gone through and have had quite a busy week with everything that has been going on, and that's great to really go through and see that you did enjoy the SCU17. One thing I guess I would make a comment on it is with that hotspot is that you have a Raspberry Pi at the bottom of the hotspot, and then an STM control board, a radio module, and an Arduino hat on the very top of it. So it's glad to see that you came through and you enjoyed the sound card as well, and that you did go through and were able to experience and have a bit of a play with some digital modes. So it's fantastic, and that's one of the next things that I want to do is whilst myself I'm going to be home for a little bit, is I want to go through and take advantage of some HF. So I need to go and find myself a large pole to place up into the backyard. All good there, mate. All good. Okay, so what I will do is I'll get there. We'll move on. We'll keep on moving down this list to the next person, and we will get to Echo Link in a moment. So Ken, Robert, Lindsay, and Ed, I do thank you for your patience, and we will come to you. VK2 EFM, Alan, VK2 NMZ. Mate, it's been a long time since you've dropped into this net. What's new in the world of amateur radio? What projects do you have ongoing? And did you have any topics of discussion or call-outs that you'd like to make? Over to you.
Okay, thanks there, Brad. VK2 NMZ, VK2 EFM, and good evening all on the net. And well, this is day, what do we have, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This is day 3 of working from home. Yeah, we got an email out at work saying if you don't have to be in work, please don't be at work, please work from home. So this is day 3, and it's good not commuting, so you can get up and settle in front of the computer by 7 in the morning, so all is sweet. In terms of radio projects, I've been working on a few of my boat anchor radios. So I've got a 1961 Swan 140. It was a monoband SSB radio, so it was pretty much come up and worked. Still covered in dust from Arizona, where I bought it from, and
few contacts on 40 metres with it, so that's not a bad effort. It doesn't have a noise blanket though. I've got an electric fence next door, so that's a bit of a worry. Anyway, back to you there, Brad. VK2 NMZ to VK2 FM.
VK2 EFM, VK2 NMZ. There we go. Sorry, microphone. I just was muted for a second. Mate, I've come through and I've received the exact same email. So that's the same as myself. I am day 3 of working from home, probably I've been told for it to be at least 2 weeks, potentially 3, depending on what goes through and happens here. So it is a little bit, it's quite a big adjustment from needing to commute into Sydney every day to having to commute about 5 meters. So there's quite a large adjustment there, but I'm definitely going through and getting used to it. I'm seeing some of the benefits, I'm seeing some of the frustrations, but I'm sure we'll go through and get there. And that's very nice to hear about the Swan radio there. And that you managed to get onto 40 meters as well. I'm sure Miles, who dropped in just before, will absolutely love that as well. He does come through and tend to like some of the boat anchor radios, and well, some of his radios aren't quite boat anchors, but they are absolutely incredible. A lot of valve Kenwoods that are very, very nice, and I want to play with them and maybe touch the top of the valves. They're all good there, Alan. Thank you so much for taking the time to go through and check in. That's great. What I will do is I will just make a call out there to Adrian, who is watching via the live feed on Facebook. If you haven't checked it out, you picked up a Uniden Pro 520 XL for $20. It's not bad. And the discussion about an antennas and dipoles for 11 meters, that's something incredible. And even our resident 11 meter guru, Miles, like he is an absolute wealth of knowledge and would be incredible to go through and bounce some details off. So all good there, Alan. Thank you so much for that, mate. Let's move down the list there to Steve. VK2 SKC, VK2 NMZ. Mate, what's new in the world of you? Have you got any ongoing projects? And did you have anything that you wanted to go through and call out? Over to you.
Yeah, VK2 NMZ, VK2 SKC, and the rest of the group. Nothing much. Outcome, you get out Sam Laird as well. But me being stock controller, and we're doing stock take at the moment. Can't be involved for that side of it anyway. A lot of the office staff is working from home already. We did decide that as of Monday, we put in the holiday forms and take some time off. So you say a week at a time. But because of being in a position when therefore we take turns. Otherwise everyone would take time off. As for the valves, you did actually told the valves your things could get a bit burnt too, because they do get quite warm. And also, just in case there's some people aren't members of the Central Coast Sanctuary Club, the club is temporarily closed at the moment until further notice. Is advised except for general maintenance. VK2 MSF, VK2 SKC.
VK2 RAG, Summersby.
VK2 SKC, VK2 NMZ. It's definitely busy times for work, and that's definitely going to be quite a busy one if a number of people need to go through and take forced annual leave and things like that. It's going to be understandably quite difficult, and at least your work is allowing you to go through and take turns and things like that. So that's something quite good. And you did go through and touch on a very good topic there, which I was going to mention a little bit later on, but you are absolutely correct. Is there was an email communication sent out to all of the club members, also basically it was splattered everywhere, is until further notice, or essentially due to the current health and safety situation that is spreading across Australia. More so, just as a bit of a caretaker side of things, is the club itself has gone through and will come through and be shut down for a minimum of 2 weeks, but effectively at the moment it will be until further notice, which is basically in line with a number of the other amateur radio clubs across Australia, including places that are holding major events. And in speaking of that as well, the WIA annual conference in Tasmania has also now been postponed. You have Gips Tech in July that is now being cancelled, and also a number of events in Victoria for the Redfest field day thing that's also come through and been cancelled. So whilst it is unfortunate, it is also in the best interest to given, I guess, some of the taking into consideration some people's health aspects and things like that. We're just really looking out for that. So thank you very much for that, Steve. I really do appreciate that. And let's move down there the list to Miles. VK2 ASS, VK2 NMZ. Hello there, Miles from local repeater land. Hello there. What's new in the world of you? And have you got any ongoing projects? And is there anything you wanted to call out?
Good evening, Brad, VK2 NMZ, VK2 Alpha Sierra Sierra. Good evening to all the people out there listening. Alan, like the sounds of that Drake, I recently acquired a Heath Kit SX18. It's receive only. Beautiful old all-valve receiver, which will go on the bench eventually. Now, Brad, I do need some help with a radio I've got here. I need to put some fingers underneath where the output stage is in the valve. It can be a little bit of fun, especially with the voltages that are running through there. So, if you want to be the person who sticks your fingers in the bottom there, I'd be quite happy to stand on the other side of the room and wait for you to arrive. It's got a little issue. I've just got to check some voltages at the in the heater circuit for the valve. Just for your information, Brad, I'm watching you on the live feed, and seeing you sit in front of that radio is really, really slimming. What have I been up to other than that? Not a great deal. A friend come down here with an old 120V, needed some work doing on that, so I did the required work to that radio and sorted out a few things for them and sent them on their way. That's how I acquired the Heath Kit as part payment for the work that I did. Wasn't much that I really did. And, Tracy just arrived with some food for me. Oh boy, you guys will be happy you're not in this room with me. Other than that, as I said, I got to get the 101Z up on the bench, check those capacitors at the base of the tubes or the finals, the valves there. Check to make sure that they're getting the right voltage to the heaters. After that, more than likely, I'll be pulling the 102 down and fixing a little issue it's got. And amongst all of that, I'm getting rid of a few of these CBs I've got laying around here. I've got a Super Cheater and a Craco 23 channel job and a Dick Smith Hornet 2 that I want to remove from the pile of radios I've got here, and I've got a couple of other old 27 meg CBs, a couple of old Paris 5000s I've got to do a little bit of work on. And then I'll get rid of those. Like I said, I'm just trying to get rid of a lot of the gear that I've got laying around here, and yeah. Anyway, I'll shut up now, so I've got something to say on the next round. Otherwise, I have nothing to say. VK2 NMZ, VK2 Alpha Sierra Sierra.
VK2 Alpha Sierra Sierra, VK2 NMZ. Mate, you've definitely gone through and been quite a busy boy, and I have seen some of those 11-meter radios that you were going through and going to be passing on. They do look very, very nice, and hopefully you can go through and move on them very quickly. For going off and touching the valves, is that like similar to the game of catch a cap? Go through, charge up a nice big chunky capacitor and throw it across the room and, and see who flies the furthest. Oh dear. All good there, mate. Thank you so much, and I hope you're enjoying your dinner there. And hello there to Tracy as well. Well, let's move over there to Echo Linkville. Okay, we have first on the list we have Ken VK4AKH VK2 NMZ. Ken, what's new in the land of view? Have you got any projects ongoing, and did you have any other call-outs or anything like that? Over to you, mate.
Oh, well, that's a good question. I know we've cancelled quite a lot of things up here at Red Cliff Radio Club. We still meet Monday nights, but we've got to keep our distances, I guess, under 1.5 metres. But as far as I'm concerned, actually, I'm doing battle with a what do they call it? An antennalyzer, Shortcom SA160, and trying to translate the instructions into English. And I don't know any Chinese. So I'm having a lot of fun trying and testing and things like that, and what does this do and what does that do. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. But, it's interesting that the club is talking about lots of old radios. An FT200 passed through, first one I ever saw. And a VHF, I think it was a high band TCA 1674, the Australian version of Philips, the first one I ever had in 1971, I think. First radio, one of those turned up. And as well as that, I think we've had a few other things as well, FT7s, and also I think a Helicrafters receiver, a very old valve Helicrafters receiver, and also a very old Eddystone. We seem to be collecting a lot of Eddystone ones. But apart from that, project-wise, I'm in an area which has got a lot of RF noise there, and quite often, it can be up to about S8, S9, which doesn't do the 40-metre band much good from my end. So, what I'm doing are various types of things, winding balance, and at the moment I'm just trying to put together a receiver, 40-metre receiver that with a directional loop antenna that I can see if I can track down the noise. Yeah, enough from me. I better leave something till later, I guess. Back to you there, Brad, VK2NMZ, VK4AKH.
VK4AKH, VK2NMZ. Oh, Ken, you've definitely been quite a bit busy there, and I'm much the same as myself with some of the noise that I have, but my next plans and initiatives would be to go through and put up the NFED which I purchased at the field day, get that up high enough, and then see how my noise levels are, and if they are still very bad, to go through and start tracking that down. I have my 9-to-1 UNUN. I just need to get 21 or 22 point something meters of wire. I couldn't quite remember exactly what it was, and work out a creative way of getting that across my yard high enough. So there's quite a lot of topics of some of the older radios tonight, which is absolutely amazing, and one of the things that I do want to go through and play around with. I think the oldest piece of equipment that I do have in here is an Mtron power supply. It's a 30 amp linear supply. It's very chunky, very heavy, but also incredibly solid as well. So all good there, Ken. Thank you very much for that. So let's move over there to Robert, VK2DY, VK2NMZ. What's new in the land of you, Robert? And have you got any ongoing projects or call-outs that you'd like to make?
VK2RA.
Yes, good evening. VK2 LNZ, VK2DY. Robert in the northwestern corner of Sydney here. I'm actually watching 7 at the moment and looking at the empty stadium in the AFL playing in an empty stadium. Pretty funny, pretty odd. But at any rate, change the radio, which is more important here. Yeah, I'm thinking, is the field day still on this weekend? Because I'd like to get on HF and see if I can make some contacts with the people who may be out in the field, or is that gone now? Anyway, I do want to get back onto HF. I want to do FT. I want to do FT8. I want to do all sorts of good stuff. I want to try all the new radio stuff that's out there, the FT8 and the other stuff that's out there. So I'm also looking at putting together an MDVM so that I can use radio. I sort of feel like I'm cheating when I'm using a mobile phone to talk to D-Star and DMR. It just sort of feels cheesy. So I'm looking to do a radio just direct to it and sort of feel better with that. Anyway, that pretty much covers everything with me. VK2DY. Back to that.
Oh, it might help if I mute that. I'm looking at going through and getting the antenna up and working on that. And MMDVM is definitely a great thing to go through and look at. All right, let's move down the list. There, we'll see whether I can. Oh, I can see that Ed has dropped off. My apologies there, Ed. If you come in via another means, but we'll give that a go. I had two other so we had another station there come in via Echo Link, which was Lindsay VK2WY VK2 NMZ. Lindsay, are you still there? Okay, it looks like Lindsay has gone. That's okay. We'll move down the list there to Ed, a VK2JI, VK2 NMZ. Ed, are you still around?
For F2FDWY, yes, I was a mile away from the radio. Yeah, because I got the call or not.
Well, almost. So we just made it to the very bottom of the Echo Link list there, Dave. So we are technically at the bottom of the list. So what I will go through and do is I'll make a call out now that we have gone through to the bottom of the list. Is we'll see if there is anybody else there that did wish to go through and check in, whether that be via Echo Link or via the local repeater. Could you please go ahead now?
VK2 Alpha Oscar Romeo. Good evening, Brad.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 3 Delta X-Ray.
That was just calling through for. Can you come back again, please?
Hey, Roger. Good morning. The call sign is Kilowatt Foxtrot number 3 Delta X-Ray. Kilo Fox 3 Delta X-Ray. KF3DX. The name here is Jared. I spell like J Juliet A Alpha R Romeo E Echo D Delta. Jared. Like the jewelry store. I imagine you've probably seen them in commercials. Same spelling. The location here, I'm in Clearfield, Pennsylvania, which is about 50 miles, so roughly about 75 kilometers, something like that, west of State College, home of Penn State University. And this is about 120 kilometers northeast of Pittsburgh. Yeah, northeast of Pittsburgh. So just located where my location is. KF3DX, back to you.
Oh, wow there, Jared. Welcome, mate. And you're sitting there in a jewelry store having a chat to us. That's fantastic. So I have your call sign here, Kilo Foxtrot 3 Delta X-Ray. And Jared, as I have gotten through and written you down there on the log there. I'll just do another quick check to see if there is anybody else out there, and then what I'll do is I'll jump straight over to you. This is VK2 NMZ for the Central Coast Amateur Radio Club 2-Meter Net. Were there any other check-ins, either via Echolink or via the local repeater? Please go ahead now.
VK2HJW. VK2 Alpha Oscar Romeo via the repeater.
Over from Pittsburgh. Oh, sorry, yeah, basically over from the US. So I'm going to go through and move it and jump it over there to Jared very quickly, and then I'll head back over to the repeater. So KF3DX, this is VK2 NMZ. Welcome to the net, and it's very nice to come through and see you go through and drop in. I guess we'll make the call out. What's new in the world of radio? And well, the curious thing is, basically, yeah, welcome. And did you have anything that you'd like to call out, or any sorts of discussion topics which you think might be maybe handy, maybe good for our net? Over to you, KF3DX VK2 NMZ.
Yeah, this is KF3DX, and just quickly here. I was going to get a Yaesu FT7. It has YFS. I'm still going to get it. I was going to get this month, but I had some bills pop up, and then I was telling a friend of mine on Messenger, and he's like, yeah, man, I know, bills before toys. So, but the coupon's still good till April 30th, the place I want to get it from. So, I'll be getting on YSF, and it does have some wireless capability, so I'll be able to connect with some of the nodes using YSF and then get online. And I'm going to get a hotspot for it as well, so that way I don't really have to use the repeater that much, and I won't tie it up. And also, just get the 800-pound gorilla out of the room here. With the COVID-19 coronavirus going around, just, everybody stay positive, keep calm, and we're all in this together, and we will get through it together, We know we've weathered, us as, human beings on this planet have weathered, worse things or equally bad things, And so just a little positive message. We're all in this together, and we'll get through this. So that's all I wanted to say. And also, I'm sure the time difference here. It's 5. It's coming up on 6 in the morning here, and I'm getting ready to flip it over to my one show I watch here on the news every morning and on MSNBC. So that's all I had to say, and I wish everyone a good day, good evening, depending on the time difference there, and good morning here to those listening in the States. KF3DX, back to net.
KF3DX VK2 NMZ. Oh, Jared, thank you so much for taking the time to go through and drop in. And hotspots are definitely a great topic, and we'll be going through and eventually probably going into that a little bit more later on in the coming weeks. So at 6 a.m. there over in Clearfield at the moment. It is 8:45 p.m. in New South Wales, Australia. So we'll go through and we'll leave you there and go off and enjoy the rest of your morning. Once again, thank you for dropping in. And in saying that, I will go through and do a bit of a plug as well. This net as well is also available on social media. If you search for the Central Coast Amateur Radio Club, you will find us. And eventually a copy of this net will also be available on YouTube as well. So once again, thank you very much for that, Jared. And what I will do is I'm going to go through and flick it over there to Bob, VK2 AOR, VK2 NMZ. Good evening there, Bob. What's new in the world of you? Did you have any projects that you're working on, and were there any other call-outs or things that you'd like to discuss? Over to you, mate.
VK2 CCARC, Summersby.
Yeah, Roger, there, Brad. Ray jumped in there, VK2HJW. I think he got in before me, so you might like to take Ray first, over.
Oh, okay. When I went through and I heard it, I heard Bob come in. So you come in, then I heard Jared, and then I heard you again, and then Ray. So that's fine. I did go through and get Ray. So on my side, I heard Ray after you. So I will go through and just so I can keep it straight with my log I'll continue with your over there, Bob, and then we'll flick it over there to Ray. VK2 AOR, VK2 NMZ.
Yeah, Roger, no problems. I might have got it wrong, but that's not unusual these days. Yeah, I've been working on a couple of car radios for some time and getting close to getting them finished, but my signal generator broke down, and I pulled a couple of boards out today and did some resoldering of cold joints, and discovered in the front panel one of the keyboards, the keys wasn't working, so I swapped number 9 out of the keyboard, out of the number panel, and put it in for DBM, to select DBM. So that was a bit more important for me over the next couple of weeks. So yeah, that's about it. And had a good time with Ray on satellites. I can't remember when it was now. It was a couple of days ago, I think. So we sort of were up until about 1 o'clock talking satellites. So that was quite good, and had 2 contacts with Ray on 91 and 92. So they were brief, but they were definitely 2-way contacts. So that was pretty good. What else is happening? I've got lots of projects to do. So I guess in the downtime with this virus that's going around, I'll have plenty of time to do some of that and get some of the projects. I went to, the week before last, Saturday I went up to the Blue Mountains Club and joined in their build-a-thon for a little spectrum analyzer. Goes to 55 megahertz, and still got one calibration thing, but now I've got my signal generator working. I think I'll be right now. I went over to Don's and tried it on one of his whiz-bang machines, but must have done something wrong and didn't quite get it calibrated. So at least now I can call up 0 dBm and minus 60 dBm and calibrate the device. So looking forward to doing that. I've just got to put the covers on the machine, and we should be right. I think that's about the limit of what I had to say at the moment, and someone else talking might prompt me with something else. Thanks, Brad, and noted that the club is closed down until this thing is sorted, so a good idea. Okay, back to you, Brad. VK2 NMZ, VK2 AOR.
VK2 AOR, VK2 NMZ, mate. That's all good. You've definitely been quite a busy boy there, and so I've written some of that down. Is that, yeah, you came through and fixed your a SIG gen, so that's quite good. And at least there were some cold joints which are quite easily able to go through and be repaired. And satellites is I do miss playing with satellites. I have the antenna sitting in the garage, and I should really go through and have a look at the next pass and pull the radio out and try and jump on for a little bit. One of the things that I did really enjoy chasing, but I haven't done for a long time. Uh, Lots of projects in the downtime, absolutely, and even myself there's quite a number of things that I've got going on as well, which I need to go through and get done. A build-a-thon for a spectrum analyzer. That'll be quite nice, and I wouldn't mind finding out some more information about that. That could be definitely something that I guess on a club level we could look at going through and doing. Because I know it's something I would be interested in doing, but in the same token, I would love to be able to have some sort of spectrum analyzer that could go up to 440. That would be fantastic. I guess it's being able having some difficulties calibrating it, but hey, it'll go through and eventually come. Let's see the shutdown period for a little bit. You're absolutely right. That's just a bit of safe housekeeping. All good there, mate. All good. So what I will do is I'll go off and I'll flick it over there to Ray VK2 HJW VK2 NMZ. The floor is yours, and also acknowledging there Daniel as well. Kilo Papa 4 Delta Romeo Bravo from Puerto Rican Caribbean. Hello there, mate, and it's nice to come through and see you on the weekly net again. Over to you, Ray.
Yeah, VK2NMZ and the group VK2HJW. Thanks, Brad, and hello to everyone and to our visitors that have popped in from overseas. Jared and Daniel, he must be, I didn't hear him, but yeah, it's been an interesting week anyway in the world of radio for me this week. I don't know what Bob pretty much filled in. I finally worked out how to make a satellite contact. It was a bit scratchy, but it was quite good fun, and hopefully over the next week or so I'll make some more, but there's a couple of passes later on tonight if I'm still around, but it was a really late night on Monday. It was Monday night, Bob, and yeah, it was 1 o'clock when we got off the radio, I think, and it took me at least another hour to get to bed, so I still haven't recovered from it, but it was fun and it was really exciting, and it was well worth the effort, and I'll be doing more of it. I had to go last night actually, and I heard someone, but I could not tune them in very well, so sometimes it's just not easy, but that's part of the fun of it, I guess. But apart from that, it's just been work, and I've been trying to buy food. Obviously, we've all had that experience this week. It's been a bit different, so panic has hit the locals, that's for sure, and where I shop anyway, and not much in the way of food, so just having to be a little creative already. So I'm sure that'll settle down in the next week or so, but it's been a hard week actually in many ways. But nice to be on the radio tonight, and I copy that the club will be closed down, which is good. I got there on Saturday. I came up for my first visit actually. There were a few people there, but I'll have to wait until the next one. And that also, I was thinking of going out and operating portable this weekend for the field day, and not sure where that is at. So be interested to know if anyone else is doing the field day as well. So. Might be able to get out on my own somewhere, but it's just yeah. So it's actually quite terrible, all these changes and the reasons for it and that. So I guess we have to stick together and be positive, as Jared was saying. But yeah, well, I'll pass it back to you, Brad. I haven't got much to add. VK2NMZ and the group VK2HJW.
VK2 HJW VK2 NMZ. Yeah, good call on the satellites, and glad you went through and enjoyed that. So we'll need to go through and load up some of the satellite applications and see and really go through, have a look and see when the next pass is on. You are absolutely correct as far as food and TP goes. Is that it's been an absolute struggle. I've been to 4 different shops 4 times in the morning at opening time, and there's nothing. And so that's been quite a difficult thing. The John Moyle Memorial Field Day is definitely is that I've usually our resident parks activator Alan VK2MG would normally go out. However, I'm not too sure of the circumstances on that, but I'm sure he'll go through and come back to that when he is able to. He just needed to go off and duck away for a moment. And good stuff on the visit last week. I wasn't there. No, yeah, I wasn't there last week. I had a few things going on, but it's great to come through and see you up there. So fantastic, mate. So what I'll do here is we've been sitting around for a little bit. So thank you very much for that, Ray. Let's make our way up to the very top of the list, and we'll go there to Dave, VK2FDWY, VK2NFZ, and also acknowledging there are Donald, Yankee Delta 1 Charlie Yankee Zulu from Indonesia, who's watching us live on the Book of Faces as well. So thank you very much for that, for dropping in. It is much appreciated. Over to you, Dave, VK2FDWY, VK2NMZ.
Yeah, VK2FDWY. Going back to that earlier one, that amplifier I was referring to was a 5-in-1 stereo system, and the module was a separate thing that was in the earphone thing, and that had had some problems, so that's why I threw it out. But it's just an amp I use for going from the computer through the MIDI to the speakers. But apart from that, no, I've been listening to the other radios here at the moment. There's very, very little happening now. It's all that phase 2. P25 phase 2 stuff, and it's just virtually nothing. But I haven't even had this radio on at all during the week. This is probably the first time this week I've had it on, got on air. But I was up in Newcastle last Friday night, and I was listening to a couple of the local repeaters up there and a couple of things further north. But nothing really exciting. It was just sort of boring. So when I was in Sydney today, you're talking about going to Sydney tomorrow. There's people in there, the shops just don't have any food in them. I was at Town Hall, I went into Woolies at Town Hall, and there was literally very little in there that was of any value. So, but people are just panic buying, they're just terrified of whatever. But I think it's really a scam. My view of the toilet paper syndrome, you want to find out people's reaction to something, put in a particular comment and watch how many people follow up on that. And I wouldn't be surprised if the tax office gets these dockets every time we go and buy something. They're also getting a record of what we're spending. But yeah, there's some things in a book that I've been looking at, a magazine I've been looking at in respect to New World Order concepts. And some of the things that are happening now are tying in with what a lot of the predictions are towards next year. But apart from that, nothing exciting, so I'll give it a miss. VK2FDWY, VK2NSMM.
VK2FDWY, VK2NMZ. Oh yeah, okay. Well, I've clarified that and just jotted it down in some of the notes. So that's definitely a bit disappointing there. So it's good. I don't really go through into the city as such very much. Is the furthest I'll normally venture would be North Sydney, but I don't think I need to go there for about another couple of weeks, which isn't too bad. Now my main trip will be into Sydney. One of our workmates is going through and is leaving and moving on to another company. So that's just going to be a bit of a farewell. So I'll need to go through and move from my home office that I've very, very quickly slapped together to jump in there for the day. So all good there, Dave. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so I think also we've gone through and we've had a chat about general projects and the likes. And one of the topics that I think we're going to go through and discuss is the building of dipole antennas, which I think that was a question that was put out by Adrian earlier on, as to what would be the best effective dipole antenna, and that can and I guess from that would be it's a difficult one here how can you make a balun for dipole for on 11 meters, how to make a proper dipole. So there's It really depends on how much room you have. Do you want a quarter wave, half wave, full wave? Like if you want a full wave for 160 meters, I hope you have a very big property. A very good question that was put out by our local repeater guru Don, which was, why do people button push repeaters without identifying? So I call that, we can name them King Kachunka, and I myself, I find that quite frustrating as well. But I guess it comes across people are testing their antennas, but it is very frustrating just hearing the random beeps and nobody to go through and talk to. I think that's one plus side of the digital world, is that if you do go through and key up, so long as your radio is legitimate, is you'll have a legitimate call sign show up. So all good, happy days there. So let's move on over to Matt. VK2 FABR, VK2 NMZ. Now Matt, I did go through and have seen you key up on the DMR repeater a couple of times. Have you managed to have any successful contacts on any of the talk groups at all?
K2, November Romeo Charlie. VK2 NMZ, VK2 FABR. Yes, I have. I have spoken to a couple of people in the United States who are in the United States, and that was great. Although they didn't want to talk long, so that was unfortunate. However, it was still great making contact. It was great testing the radio. And you're absolutely right. The radio audio is far superior than the Bofang, as you would expect. Any higher quality radio the audio would be better. But also the Anytone 878 also has a menu selection where you can select to enhance the audio from an external microphone, mic speaker. So that's also good. And just touching on what Jared said, you know, it would be nice to see people help each other get through this situation that we're in, and no doubt is going to escalate further here for us. Unfortunately, it's obvious to me that it is, because that's happened in every other single country. So why should we be any different? But yeah, it'd be nice to see the humanity put back into human. Anyway, but. Speaking of projects, things that I'd like to see in the future is things like we could do an SWR meter build. We could do antenna builds. And one question I have is, what is a boat anchor radio? I have no idea what that is. And for anyone listening out there that doesn't know, I'm extremely new to amateur radio. So yeah, I've got no idea what a boat anchor radio is. Anyway, my mind's just bringing up all these images of people using radios as boat anchors, but that's probably not what it is. So anyway, back to the group. VK2 FABR, VK2 NMZ. Did I get that the right way around? I don't think I did. Anyway, back to the group.
VK2RAG, Summersby.
VK2 FABR, VK2 NMZ. I'm really glad that you are going through and enjoying that. I think more so, say for example, if you went on to Talk Group 91, which is the worldwide talk group, is I get one of the possible reasons that they may not want to be able to talk quite a fair bit is mainly because that repeater, much similar to 505 on Brandmeister, so that keys up essentially every repeater and reflector that may be connected to that room. So there are other little things called TAC groups or TAC room, TAC, which go through and is really just a separate talk group where two people can go off and move to go through and have a bit of a further conversation and not key up 50 different repeaters at once. So definitely something to potentially look at, or maybe even go through the code plug of that radio to see if you can go off and locate that. So project side of things, that's actually quite good. ARNSW were looking at doing a Ballon Buildathon day, which would allow you to go through and effectively make a dipole or an end-fed wire antenna for HF. But even for antenna building, you could go through and use a metal coat hanger and make a very basic J-pole for the 70 centimeter band. So there's antennas can be as simple or as complex as you ultimately want. So it's a very big, quite bit of a Pandora's box. For boat anchors, I think what I might do is I'll leave that for Miles, or I'll go through. I'll drop in for Miles to go through and make a comment on that one, because it is quite a. It's basically boat anchors are generally quite your older radios where you could tie a bit of rope to, because they're boat anchors because they weigh about 30 kilos. You're all good there, Matt. Thank you very much there. So we'll keep on moving on there. We'll go down to Dan. VK2GG, VK2 NMZ.
VK2 November Romeo Charlie.
Well, my apologies there, Bob. I captured you. Okay, what I will do is I've jotted you down, and you're at the very bottom of the list. So where are we? So I'm actually going to just put you aside for a moment there, Dan. I do apologise, and I'm going to allow Bob to go through and drop in, because he has come through and he's coming in from quite a fair distance, and I'll allow you to go in and say a quick hello there. Good evening there, Bob. How are you? What's new in the world of radio? And did you have anything that you wanted to go through and call out?
VK2 MNZ in the group. VK2 NRC. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all well. We're talking about satellites. Just after 10 o'clock and just after 11 o'clock, there's a couple of passes. The 10 o'clock one's pretty low in the east, so you'd want to be pretty much close to the coast or up fairly high, but it's still 5 or 6 degrees, but you can quite often do quite well out of that. Just don't be scared off because it's a low thing. If you've got line of sight of it, go for it. And they are very high, even though they are very low. So it's amazing what you can get. You can get 6-7 minutes out of them quite often. Anyway, I'll put it back to you, and for this over, VK2MNZ, VK2NRC.
VK2 NRC, VK2 NMZ. Bob, it was very good to come through and see you drop in. Thank you so much for that. And that's something normally if I went through and did a satellite pass, usually if it's lower than about 30-40 degrees, I usually don't bother with it, but I'll have to wait for the application on my phone to go through and update and get the latest feeds, and then I'll go from there. So thank you so much for that, Bob. It's much appreciated. So what I'll do here is I'm going to flick right back up to the top of the list there to Dan, VK2GG, VK2 NMZ.
Yeah, thanks, Brad, and good evening to all the latecomers since I called in last. Variety of topics in there, amazing. We've had satellites, and we've had dipoles, we've had noise devices, we've had spec hands. Yeah, really interesting and really good to hear people with lots of projects on the go. Yeah, my noise, I'm in a fairly noisy area, I suppose, for HF. I have what I put up as a fairly temporary antenna as a trapped dipole on 40, which actually works on 80, and they're the two I use basically, and it works very well. But yeah, the noise level on 80 is fairly dreadful, but I built one of those VK5TM noise reduction devices, and I use that. It's quite good. The other thing that I I've found lately is I have a vertical here that I can switch over to that's actually not tuned for HF at all. It's a 6-metre vertical. But it's a tremendous receiving antenna. And if conditions are, if the signals are strong enough, and a lot of times they are, I can hear them quite well and, virtually noise-free on the vertical. So really good thing to have here. I'd love to get a vertical that's actually, that I can transmit on. But anyway, don't have that, but the receive antenna works well. The other thing is I can use the computer, of course, on the net that I am involved with on Saturday morning. I've often used the internet to SDR, to listen to a station that I may not hear quite very well on on RF. So that's a bit of fun too, playing with headphones on SDR on the computer and then pulling them off, allowing for the delay, and putting on the headphones on the RF and all that. It's a lot of fun. So anyway, noise devices, yep, I know quite a bit about that, and I'll swear by the VK5TM device, very good. What else is there? Oh, Al, VK2MG, if you're back, yeah, went to your site, saw all the activities you've been up to on the national parks. Good stuff, mate. It's been good to hear you in. Dipoles, yeah, you don't need much. You really don't need a lot of debate about whether you in fact need a balance. Anyway, you can't beat the wire in the air, that's for sure. I'll just, I'll play soon. It's Kachunka's here, annoying if you're sitting on a repeater to hear people Kachunk. Brad, I'm going to put it back to you and I'm going to sign, mate. I'm getting a bit late for me, I'm a bit tired, so I'll listen a bit, but then I'll sign. Thanks for running the net, good to be on. VK2NMZ, VK2GG,
VK2GG, VK2NMZ. Mate, definitely there's quite a large variety of topics that are coming through and being discussed tonight, which is really good, and that we're going through, we're having a look at them all, and that it's coming from there. So I'm very much enjoying that as well. That noise canceller kit is, I'm going off and looking at that, and the kit, if I have a look here, going from their website. You can buy the PCB for $11 plus postage. If I have a look here, if you wanted to go through and buy the entire kit, including all components, it was $50, and you can pay an extra $30 or $33 if you wanted to go through and have the kit completely assembled and tested and sent out to you. I think that's something I might actually need to go through and look at. Thank you very much for that, Dan. It's now I will go through and put that link up on the Book of Faces as well for those folks that are going through and watching that. So that's something there that would be available for you. So thanks very much for dropping in, Dan. It's much appreciated, and we'll go through and hopefully we'll come in and we'll catch you next week. Alrighty then, so let's go off and we'll see if Alan is back. Now Alan did need to go through and disappear, but I'll make a call out there. VK2MG, VK2NMZ, are you back yet?
VK2NMZ, VK2MG. Just walked back into the room as you called me there. I got no idea what anybody was talking about, mate.
VK2MG, VK2NMZ. Alan, we were talking about a whole lots of array of different topics. We were speaking about park activations and the John Moyle Memorial Field Day. We were talking about dipoles. There were a number of ongoing club projects and club suggestions, discussions of DMR and the Anytone radios. Dan had also mentioned a kit from VK2 Tango Mike for a noise cancelling kit, which had worked quite well with also utilizing a 6-meter vertical antenna to try and cancel out some of that noise and receiving other signals. So there's quite a large amount of discussion that we have gone through and had going on. So yeah, basically we're in the second round here. We've had quite a large topic of discussion. So I guess for yourself, you could really go through and come back and maybe have a chat about your experiences with FT8 over the last 48 hours with your 818, and also acknowledging there Steve VK2UD And you love the background picture, mate. Thank you. Alrighties. VK2MG, VK2NMZ.
VK2RAG, Summersby.
VK2NMZ, VK2MG, just loading in the last 24 hours worth of his FT8, last lot of FT8 into the log there, after screwing up the ADI file. Let me just turn down that so I'm not hearing you about 30 seconds ago. So yeah, that was a bit of fun, and it was basically just plug it in and it pretty much worked. I'm going to write something up on getting the 818 ready for using this sort of stuff, because what I had difficulty finding anywhere on the net was, in order to get the audio into it from the back, you've got to go in and tell it that Digimode is user-u, so it just takes whatever you throw at the back and up at the throat, does it an upper sideband. And after we did that, it just worked just like magic. It was lovely. And yeah, this morning I managed to, I think it's on 30 or 17's a magic band for FT8. I got a guy just outside of Moscow and another guy just over the Canadian border, and was actually hearing some Americans at 80 metres this morning, which was kind of amazing. I am now hoping to get out for John Moyle, or at least part of it. We'll have to see, because I had a gig on Sunday morning, but that's been cancelled due to everything going on. And I'll be using my my link dipole that I've written about, spoken about before, and may have to buy another battery because I've only got one at the moment. I'm probably close to timeout. VK2NMZ, VK2MG.
VK2MG, VK2NMZ. Mate, I'm glad you that's quite a lot of contacts, especially Moscow and Canada. And that's quite good. And yeah, if you wanted to go through and make use of the sound card interface for the next week, mate, you're absolutely more than welcome to. So it looks like you had quite a fair bit of fun there. So that's all good there. All good. Thank you very much there. All right, so we're moving along here. We'll head over there to Alan, VK2EFM, VK2NMZ. Mate, we're only on. Wow, it's 20 past 9, and we're only on the second round. Let's move it over. What else is news there, mate?
Hey there, VK2NMZ to VK2 Echo Fox Mike. And answer the question, boat anchor, it's quite derogatory. I think it was when radios were big and heavy and not worth much when they're second hand, and what do you use them for? You use them as a boat anchor. I think that's where they come from. Anyway. Oh dear. And a couple of comments there. NFED dipole, I was listening on someone talking about one of them, and if you want to get reasonable multiband performance, earthing the coax side to ground was an interesting way. So I'd heard that bit of trivia, and I was trying to get my head around how that is actually arranged. So that's one thing I picked up on. And another thing I heard was talking to someone on 40 metres who lived out in the middle of New South Wales, Tottenham, I think he said. They had people driving into town from Dubbo to go shopping and clear their shops out, so I found that quite interesting. And what else has happened? And about all I can report on DX, on radio and whatever. Last Saturday morning got up early, managed to work a G station on 80 metres on sideband, so it was right just on sunrise, so that was a fair achievement. So it was my DX news, but that's with a 160 metre off-centre fed dipole, and it's up between two trees at about 25 metres. So, and another comment on hunting noise. I've been doing that in the shack at the moment. You wait till the XYL's away, because you run your HF radio off battery and then go and turn everything on and off around the house or at the fuse box, but you do it when no one else is around because you annoy them. Anyway, back to you there, Brad, VK2NMZ, VK2 Echo Fox Mike.
VK2 NMZ VK2 Echo Foxtrot Mike. So yes, I think that was myself that I was talking about the NFED. Is I picked up a 9-to-1 unun, and I was trying to remember the wire distance where you could make it work basically on 40 and 80 and 20 as well. It was 20 to 21 or 22 point something meters. I couldn't exactly remember. And as far as the height, I'm going to need to get myself a squid pole or something like that because I don't have trees high enough. Is chatting to someone who's basically driving around into remote towns. I've read quite a fair bit of that where people are coming into remote locations via the busload to clean them out, and it's definitely something that isn't the nicest of things. Getting a G station on 80 meters on sidebend in the morning, right on sunrise, very, very nice. It's something I do need to do more. And a 160 meter off center fed at a height of 25 meters. It's not bad at all. Not bad at all. And hunting interference in the house, that is something that I do need to go through and do myself, and I will get there eventually. So thank you very much for Alan and the explanation of the boat anchors as well. That's appreciated. All right, let's go through and move down there to Steve, mate, if you're still around there. VK2 SKC, VK2 NMZ.
VK2 MNZ, VK2 SKC in the group. Nothing much. As for making antennas and all that, you actually get an app on your phone. Look up on the internet for that matter. It's called antenna calculator. You select what frequency range you want. The type in vertical, dipole, inverted V, or beam in that. And then they'll actually give you the actual length and the dimensions that you need to have. But then in AI, be more into that side of things. Nothing much else. I'm going to go to bed now. Getting my bedtime. I'll probably catch you later. VK2 MNZ, VK2 SKC.
The VK2 SKC, VK2 NMZ. Mate, thank you very much for that, Steve. As I've just looked up the antenna calculator, and I did just go through and put a link on that on the feed as well. So that's really appreciated. And you're absolutely right. There are so many out there and so many applications and whatnot that you can go through and look at. But there are some free applications for your computer as well. That was a station N1 something or other. I can't remember it exactly, but when I do find it, I will put that out. So all good there, Steve. Thank you very much for dropping by, and enjoy and have some beauty sleep for your trip down the freeway tomorrow. 7-3 there, Steve, and you enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll catch up with you later on. So moving on down the list there, we got Miles, VK2 Alpha Sierra Sierra, VK2 NMZ. The floor is yours, mate.
VK2 NMZ, VK2 Alpha Sierra Sierra. I've been listening and okay, pretty much what Alan said about boat anchors, but more so these days, boat anchors are boat anchors are radios with valves in them, whether it be valve output stages or completely valve driven, the whole radio. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but it's quite possible I did. My memory's not the best. I've got a Heathkit SX18 from around about 1939 to 1941. Really, really nice receiver. I've got to do a little bit of work on that around the VFO. What would you call wouldn't call it string, but the cord, that's the word, the cord. that hooks up to the dial and then to the VFO. It's gone crapola, so I've got to try and find. It's a white cord, very, very thin. So if anyone out there is listening and knows exactly what I'm talking about, and you have any laying around, please keep me in your memories. So yeah, that's boat anchors. But yeah, originally they were called boat anchors because they were bloody heavy, and yeah, they were that cheap to get way back when. You could use them as a boat anchor. So yeah, that's where boat anchors come from. I actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 boat anchors in here. 3 Yaesus, 501, a 102 and a 101, plus my TS520S. HF, I been doing Ron's net of a morning on 40 metres, the Wodonga net, or the Australian ham radio net, out of Wodonga, obviously, on what is it, 7.097. Haven't been doing the 80 metre net of late, but I've been pretty tired, and by the time I get home Friday night, I've just pretty much been going to bed by 8 o'clock when that net kicks off. I can't remember what frequency it's on now, but yeah, on 80 metres. I think I might make it tomorrow night. Since I'm up tonight and on this one, I think I should have a go at being on that. If young Adrian's still listening, you may need to get your hands on an SWR meter and check to make sure that the antenna that you're using is resonant. You may be building antennas that are correct in length, but the problem is if you're not using the correct wire or tube, it changes the electrical length. Well, yeah, it does. It changes it. It can create a longer antenna or a shorter antenna if you're using different media to what is prescribed in the building of that antenna. So there's a whole lot of reasons. I'm sure someone at the club would be able to help you. Or if as I've said, if you are listening, Adrian, contact me through my Facebook account, message me, and I'll try and help you out as best I can. Other than that, I've been off work for the last few days. I was a bit crook and decided to stay home for the week just to see what was going on. Whatever it was I had has run its course, so I'll be back to work on Monday, of course. Okay, I'll pass it back to you there, young Bradley, VK2 NMZ, VK2 Alpha Sierra Sierra.
VK2 Alpha Sierra Sierra, VK2 NMZ, and a couple of beeps there just very quickly as the Echo Link server had gone through and disconnected itself it had reached a 235 second timeout, which is basically from the ham side of things that had disconnected it. So we'll need to go through and keep a monitor on that. I believe our local repeater timeout is 5 minutes, I think, and this is 235 seconds, but all got to have fixed that. So there's some very good points there that you did go through and make there, Miles, with regards to the length. Adrian did just go through and say that he's moved his dipole to a more open area, but again, it just depends. As Miles has mentioned before, you're going to need to probably have a chat with Miles directly, as he's an absolute wealth of information and would be able to go off and help you out, especially with regards to the construction of that antenna. So definitely, I'd highly recommend that. So thank you very much for that, Miles, and a whole asset of information as always, and it is really appreciated there. So what I'll do there is I'm going to go through and because this is from the local repeaters, Okay, so we've done that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and move down to Ken and Robert from Echo Link as they came in previously, and then I'm going to go back up to Bob, Ray, and Bob again. So Ken, VK4, AKH, VK2, NMZ, did you have anything else that you wanted to drop in there at all, Ken? Over to you.
Oh, yeah, okay, Brad. Yeah, okay about the discussion about boat anchors. I've had a few over the years. I think probably the thing that boat anchors are most is the fact that they've probably got a very heavy transformer, and so therefore the whole unit becomes quite heavy. I've had a few over the years. I think I had the ultimate in a Krieg teleprinter. That was such a boat anchor and so heavy it was also nicknamed Instant Hernia. You never lifted the thing. It was just so heavy. So, oh yeah. But there's always been, jargon like that. Back in the valve days, the post-war valve days, a glass of beer was known as an 807. And an 807 actually was the type of valve which was used in the command sets and so forth as a transmit valve. The thing about the 807 and the, actually a bottle of beer compared with, because, shut it, the bottle of beer anyhow, the difference between an 807 and a bottle of beer, of course the 807 had its anode in the cap, which was most unusual. Usually it's one of the bottom pins, and this is the highest voltage thing you can find. So the thing was that, of course, if you touched the cap of it, the thing was quite safe, and it didn't do you any harm until you touched the cap. And I guess that's the same for a bottle of beer too. If you leave the cap alone, you won't have any trouble. Yeah, okay. That's from me anyhow. I'll make this my final because otherwise you're going to be here till the small hours of the morning. Back to you, Brad, VK, for AKH, back to VK2 and MZ.
VK4 AKH, VK2 NMZ. Ken, thank you very much for that, and that's actually quite funny having comparing a bottle of beer to an 807. I've never heard of that, and I've it's definitely quite funny. So, mate, 7-3 there. Thank you very much for that, for Ken for dropping in. That's much appreciated. All right, so. We'll probably should go through and catch you next week. So I'll go off and I'll just see if Jared, whether you are still around or whether you've headed off. Kilo Foxtrot 3 Delta X-Ray, VK2 NMZ. Nope. Okay, it looks like Jared has gone. Ed was in for a brief moment, but he left, so it's a odd time over there in Germany. So that's all good there. What I will do is I'm going to move over and head back up there to Bob, a VK2 AOR, VK2 NMZ, and wow, we're an hour and a half and we're only at the bottom of the second round. I think we may possibly need to call it very soon. Anyways, mate, over to you. Have you got any other extra discussion points for after hearing everyone else's piece? It's been quite a fair bit of variety tonight. Over to you, mate.
Yeah, Roger. I was just looking at the emails and while I'm listening, and also g'day to Bob, VK2NRC, another friend from Satellites, and Alan, VK2 EFM, talking about an off-centre fed dipole. I'm just wondering if, when you come around, when you're on next, Alan, just wondering what your thoughts are on how that operates. Thinking of a smallish backyard and trying to get back with a wire antenna for 80 metres. There was another fellow who was a silent key I got notified he was a member of the Hornsby Club. Now I forgot. George Archibald, VK2 BGU, has passed away, and he was an older gentleman that lived at Carlingford Way, and I used to talk to him quite a bit on Colesnet in the afternoons on 40 metres. The Blue Mountains Club built this little spectrum analyzer, antenna analyzer device with a screen, and it gives a spectrum scope on it, and just got a little bit of fine tuning to do there on that, calibration of the input device. Now I've got my antenna, my SIGGEN back up and running again. I can calibrate it. So anyway, the other thing was off-centre-bit dipole spectrum analyzer. They're also building. They've got another kit in the works to build a return loss bridge, and another kit for a calibrator for this device. But they're just that's just in the prototype stage. They've done their own boards, and these little units. The spectrum analyzer was a $50 kit. That was a kit of all the parts without a box and a screen. So using a Arduino Nano as the program in it, and the programming for the spectrum analyzer was done by haven't got it here, have I? No. A Japanese amateur, so and he's got some other projects there that I had a look at on his website, which just sort of blew me away. But the basic board for putting the devices on is fairly simple. It's just a matter of putting resistors and headers on, and then plugging in the Nano, and there's another device, I can't think what it's called now, but for the output, DDS I think they call it, and so all the hard work's been done. It's just a matter of putting resistors and capacitors in the board and some radio frequency chokes. So there's three little toroids, and but for $50 I thought that was a pretty good deal, and I got mine into a box now, and it comes with B and C connectors on the output, so the output and the input, and typically most things you probably use a return loss bridge with it, so they've got a kit underway for that too. So I'll keep in touch and see if they're prepared to send it out to other clubs. It's quite a good little project. They've done really well on that. Okay, I think that's about it. Yeah, g'day to Ray. Who else was there? VK2AKH, Ken. Good evening, Ken. Miles, Steve, VK2SKC, Alan, VK2MG, Alan, VK2EFM, Steve, VK2UD, I think was there, but I guess he'll come up in this round. Dan, VK2CG, and Adrian, VK2FABR. I don't think I'll...
Repeater, timeout.
That's been a while. I've heard that one. Repeater timeout. VK2 AOR VK2 NMZ. Well, you cracked the 5-minute timeout, mate.
VK2RAG, Summersby.
All good there, Bob. Yeah, that was Matt, VK2 FA Foxtrot Alpha Bravo Romeo. Matt, Adrian was one of the followers that follow us on social media and was asking a number of questions about the 27 meg radio, the 11 meter radio that he was going off and working on, and also acknowledging there David as well. Pity you can't put a picture up. Well, feel free to send it through directly to the page, and we'll go off and try and work with that. So, wow, Bob, there was quite a fair few things that were going on there. That's absolutely amazing, and I think I might need to go off and have a look over this club and also see how they work with things, and also some of those projects, because they do sound really good and has really sparked my interest, and something that I think our club could go through, or not could, or should go through and be more involved with looking at. So fantastic, mate. Thank you so much for that. And once you can go through it, I think you go off, you get your return loss bridge worked on, and those two items there will become part and parcel of each other. I think you definitely have quite a good bounty of little kits there. So I guess you'll have that. You have your Nano VNA, so all sorts of good. All right, mate. We'll go through, and I'll keep this quickly moving there. We'll go over to Ray, VK2HJW, VK2 NMZ. Now, if you can just hold on before coming back, I'm going to D-key and then connect the Echo link up again because it got angry at me. Whoa, what? Ray, whatever that was then, that came through very bad with a lot of noise and distortion. Did you want to give that another crack?
Yep, okay, how about now? I have changed my position.
Okay, no, on this side there, Ray, you were coming through and your audio was doubled up. So I don't know whether it was just me, but definitely coming through on my side. Yeah, it was doubled.
Sounds like you've got some sort of a interference there from a common mode power supply or something coming through with your mixed in with your audio.
Okay, how about now?
Oh, that is much better, Ray. Okay, back to you.
That's very interesting, because I've just changed my operating position actually, because it's quite a long list tonight, and I've only just got home when the net started, and I had to cook dinner, so I came downstairs and brought the handheld down, and I've got the Bluetooth speaker on. So turning off the Bluetooth speaker has made it work. So I was wondering if I was getting in. So it sounds like I'm getting in without the Bluetooth speaker on, but it's much better to listen to you guys on the speaker. Well, I haven't got a lot more to add, but great net, lots of topics. As far as dipoles, off-centered fit dipoles go, I'm a massive fan of them. When I first got my license, that was the antenna that started me off, and I would recommend as an off-centered fit just to get the extra band. And if you can get a 4-to-1 balun working, they are awesome. But they still take a little bit of room, but it's a really good antenna to get started with. Really good. And if you just want an 11-meter antenna, just a straight dipole would be easy. And if you need you probably won't even need a balun. The other thing too that I will add just before I sign off is that I also got my hotspot today, Brad, and I never mentioned that before. I should have been excited about that, but there's too many other things on my mind at the moment. But yeah, I'll pass it back to you, and because it's been a long net, and I don't want to hold it up too much longer. VK2 NMZ, VK2HJW.
VK2HJW, VK2 NMZ, you are absolutely right. It's been quite a long net, 1 hour and 46 minutes. So it has been very long. But as you mentioned this before, it's been quite a number of great topics that have been spoken about, and I hope that there's quite a substantial amount of information here that some people can go through and go away with and take into consideration for whatever their next projects are. So you're getting off-center fed dipoles, and that you're introduced to them, and and a 4-to-1 balun as well. So that's great. You said before that you got your hotspot, mate. That is absolutely fantastic that you've come through and you now have the hotspot working. So jump in, get that set up, configure it for YSF, and then one of the things that you can go through and do is for the local master server, instead of having 505.01 or 505.21 for Australia, you go off and you set it to YSF to DMR, and that will then allow you to access all of the DMR talk groups, whether that be through Brandmeister or the IPsec, or except for VKDMR, via your Yaesu handheld. If that's something there that you did want a little bit of a hand with, definitely shoot me a message afterwards, and that's something there that we can go through and have a bit of a play with and have a bit more of a chat about. But very, very good to go through and hear that you've got that. And it definitely odd about the Bluetooth speaker, but we can touch on that one later. I think it was just a lot of delays. All good there, Ray. All good, mate. So we'll go through and we'll keep on kicking on, and we'll go to Bob, VK2 NRC, VK2 NMZ. Mate, was there anything else that you wanted to go through and add in tonight? Because I'm thinking with an hour and 45 minutes, it's actually quite a long net, and it may be a good idea to start. We'll go through one final 7-3 round after this, but did you have anything else that you wanted to go through and add in? VK2 NRC, VK2 NMZ.
VK2 MNZ, VK2 NRC. One thing comes to mind, I think it was VK2 ASS was looking for what the name of the string to do his old radio. I used to use, I think it was a Miller's twine, which I don't know whether it still exists, but it's just a cotton twine, and I have seen it at, how are we going to put this? Instead of going to a green hardware store, you'd go to a blue office supply place, and I know that they do have one, but I don't know the quality of it. But it was called cotton twine anyway. That's the generic name of it, which will more than likely see him and the radio out. It wasn't that dear. It was about $5-7. I saw it the other day actually when I walked past something looking for something else. G'day to Bob. Definitely going to have to talk to you about the spectrum analyzer. What else? That'll do anyway. I'll say 7 threes now. That'll save you a little bit of time at the end. And thanks for doing the net tonight, and speak to you all next week. VK2 MNZ, VK2 NRC.
VK2 NRC, VK2 NMZ. Bob, thank you so much for coming through and taking the time to drop in. And I did go through and I've noted some of that, it's Miller's, or you mentioned Miller's twine. From the Big Blue shop, I think it also shows up jute twine. I think it was called. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's only about $5 or so like that, and you can either get that from you can get that from Big Blue shops, Big Green shops. It's pretty much everywhere. So thank you so much there, Bob. And yeah, we'll go through and probably chat sometime next week. Otherwise, we may go through and catch up each other on satellites. So now we are coming through, and we are basically at the very bottom of the of the list. So I will just do one final call out just to see if there is anybody else there, either via Echo Link or via the local repeater, that did want to go through and check in to say hello. I'll pass it over there and open the floor up. This is VK2NMZ for the CCARC net.
Net control, copy Victor Echo 1, Echo Sierra Papa, and the name is email. I spell Echo Mike India Lima from Halifax, Nova Scotia, over.
VK2XO.
And acknowledging their Emil, Victor Echo 1, Echo Sierra Papa, and also acknowledging their Max as well, VK2XOR. Good evening there, Max, and good evening there, Emil. It's great to come through and see you come in via the Echo Link connection. So I'll pass it over there to you. Emil, Victor Echo 1, Echo Sierra Papa. This is Victor Kilo 2 November, Mike Zulu for the Central Coast Amateur Radio Club Weekly 2 meter net. Welcome to Australia. Your voice is currently being broadcast over the central coast of New South Wales via the VK2 RAG 2 meter repeater. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you. In all stations, looking for information on what modes and what frequencies may be monitored during this epidemic regarding the stress and concerns of other operators. Do we know of any frequencies that are being monitored besides the 420 conference 24/7 for operators to be able to go and I'll say it this way, relieve themselves, let them know what's on their mind and any concerns they may have regarding this epidemic? Do we know of any forums that are running 24/7 on other bands? Over.
Well, Emil, that's actually quite a good question. And now I'm unsure. I have seen a few frequencies as far as COVID goes on 40 and 80 meters, but as far as the actual frequencies, I am unsure of what those specific frequencies would go through and be. Now, I do also know that somebody did go through and create a talk group for the Brandmeister DMR network that did go through and did cover some of the discussions for the current epidemic, but I'm unsure as to. I'll have to go through and come back to you on what the talk group ID is, because I'm frantically going through and searching for that now for you. And I suppose this can be handy as well for any of those that did go through and happen to have happen to go off and have that. I haven't actually got it on here. So I'll come back to you on that one, but we will go through and open that up for comments on our last round to see if anybody does have anything. So right now I'm going to go through and we'll park that for the moment, Emil, and we'll just jump up there to Max, VK2 XOR, VK2 NMZ.
VK2 NMZ in the group, VK2 XOR, just popping in right at the end here to just say good evening to everybody. Hope everybody's healthy. I know nobody's finding toilet paper. Hang in there. Hopefully things will look up soon. Radio-wise, I haven't done much at all lately. I've been quite busy working from home this week. Finally, I've just gotten around to doing a factory reset and a couple of tries on my Anytone 878, but none of that succeeded in making the interference issue go away on VHF, unfortunately. So I'll have to finally get around to contacting the seller I got it from and see if I can get a replacement or something. Anyway, good evening. Hope all are well. VK2NMZ and the group from VK2XOR.
Attention, this is DO3YO. The station for the Let's Over, yes? Your audio is absolute low. It's 3% from 100. This is DO3YO. Please check your audio. Thank you.
DO3Y Yankee. Apologies, I tried to get that DO3YAO. I think I received from that. Okay, so this is Victor Kilo 2 November Mike Zulu on net control. So this is currently a net located in Australia, and that was just one of the local stations coming through via the repeater. So that's all. Thank you very much for the comment there. I know Max was just dropping in to say hello, and then we'll be going off and heading off again. So what I will come through and do here is I'm going to go through and move this up to the very top of the list for our final 7 threes and goodbyes and all that other sort of good stuff there. And so we'll move this up there today. VK2FDWY, VK2NMZ. Did you have any last words there at all before we go off and close this net off? Well, it looks like Dave has gone through and headed off, so that's all good there. All right, so we'll go off and we'll keep on moving. So 7-3 as well to Matt, VK2FABR. You needed to go through and head off, so all good, mate. Thank you very much for coming through and dropping in, and we'll go off and catch you. Okay, and Alan, I missed on round 3. No, so we're up to round 3 now, mate. Okay, so Dan VK2GG, you headed off, so thank you very much for that, Dan. It is much appreciated for you coming in. And we're over there to Alan, VK2 Mike Golf, VK2 NMZ.
VK2 NMZ, VK2 Mike Golf. Yeah, my bad. I thought you'd done 3 and 4 was going to be the 73s, but anyway, not much more to add from me. I've sent a query off about that, about getting one of my own little SCU 17s, and just before I send any money to anybody, ask them, okay guys, so what actually comes in the box with it? Because if I've got to buy more cables, I'd really like to do that at the same time. And we'll see if they get back to me tomorrow. Good to hear everybody tonight. It's been a great net, mate, and you've done wonders with the video here, and I'm kind of scared I'm going to have to try and set up everything here to do likewise at some point if you're off. Anyway, good night everybody, and catch you further down the log. VK2 NMZ and the Central Coast Amateur Radio Club Weekly Net, VK2 Mike Golf.
Victor, Echo 1, Whiskey, India, November.
Victor Echo 1 Whiskey India November, acknowledging your call in there, mate. We'll come to you in a very, very quick second. We're just in a final 7-3, and then we'll jump over to you. Okay. VK2 Echo Foxtrot Mike. This is Victor Kilo 2 November Mike Zulu.
Thank you there, Brad. VK2 November Mike Zulu. And the group, this is VK2 Echo Fox Mike. And quick one there, okay, miles for the Helicrafters HX18. Wow, well done. What springs to mind was braid from the fishing line shop. Fly line braid or something. The other thing come up was bead line for tying beads on for jewellery. And quickly, Bob, with the offset of pin dipole, I've tried a couple. Secret is varying the offset of the feed to get the different bands. You can go with classic third offset and it works well on all the main harmonics, but if you play around with the offsets you get a few other bands. But open my mouth too much, you'll probably put the
hard word on me to do a lecture on it. That's about it. 73 to all, and enjoyed the net. And yes, next week it'll be working from home 3 plus 5, day 8, I guess. We've been told to stay home until the end of about April, which is interesting. Anyway, VK2 NMZ in the group, VK2 Echo Fox Mike.
VK2RAG, Summersby.
VK2 Echo Foxtrot Mike, VK2 NMZ. No, thank you very much for that, Alan. It's great always. It's a pleasure for you to come along, and I do appreciate that. VK2 SKC Steve, you've headed off for the night, so thank you for coming in. We'll go over there to Miles. VK2 Alpha Sierra Sierra, VK2 NMZ. Did you have any last words there, mate?
Yeah, good night, one and all. Adrian, if you're listening, add me on Facebook or send me a message through Messenger, and I'll see if I can't help you out in some way with your antenna. And I may have some microphones here for the radios you have. I just need to know what radios you've got. Okay, everyone, but just so you know, I sent you a list of length. It is in feet, so you have to convert to metres. But I think around 56 feet is around 16 and point something or other metres, which is something you probably be able to work in your yard. If you get it set correct, you should be able to work that in your yard. And you also want a one-to-one current balun in that, so it doesn't use the shield on your coax as a counterpoise. Alright, that's all I've got to say. I'll leave it to you to finish up and do what you got to do. 73, one and all. I'll be listening for a short time after the net's shut down. VK2 NMZ, VK2 Alpha Sierra Sierra.
KB9 NSK.
Acknowledging KB9 and SK. Hello there. Welcome to the CCARC net. We are just going through and very quickly closing it off. So I will go through and have this and leave the Echolink connection up for a little bit. But if you can just hold on for a few more minutes, well, I've just got a couple of stations just to get through, and then we'll come back to you. Now, VK2 AOR, VK2 NMZ for the final round. Did you have anything else or that you'd like to go through and add in?
VK2 NMZ, VK2 AOR. Yeah, there was a VE station in there earlier. I think I may have a card from him, but not sure. His call sign looked as familiar. The only other thing is, I'm not sure if I mentioned it in the first round, the WIA has cancelled the AGM in Hobart, and looking forward to doing it in Hobart in 2021. So stay tuned for the updates on that. That's about it, Brad. Thanks. Quite a few people there tonight, and quite a lot happening. Thanks for the info on the off-centre fed there from Ray and also Alan. Okay, thanks, Brad. VK2 NMZ, VK2 AOR.
VK2 AOR, VK2 NMZ. Well, Bob, thank you very much for coming through and dropping in. It's definitely much appreciated there. And yeah, you are absolutely right. The Wireless Institute of Australia's annual conference in Tasmania had gone through and been cancelled, and we'll go off and we'll see what happens next year. So 7.3, and so I will go through and I'll be closing this net off in a moment, but I will leave the Echolink conference server connected to allow some of those those 3 international stations to drop in and have a bit of a chat with some local Australians. So now we do go through, and I am acknowledging there is the Emil, the VE1 ESP, is I have had a bit of a look for some frequencies, but I haven't been able to locate anything specific. I suppose there may be something in the IARU as far as if there is any generic calling frequency, but we can come back to that after the net has gone off and closed off. So I'll move it over there to Ray, VK2HJW, VK2NMZ. Did you have any last words at all there, mate?
VK2NMZ in the group VK2HJW. Yeah, I just heard them speak off. There was a bit of a delay there. I've no last words, but it's been great net, a long net, and it's quite interesting. And I'm not really quite ready to give it up yet, but I need to finish cooking the dinner. I might put it on hold. No, I've got nothing to add, but I will be catching up with you on the DVM side of things because I don't really understand it. So, I mean, I know I've seen practical uses of it and that, and I just, to be quite honest, I got the thing tonight, plugged it in, configured it for about 20 minutes, and it was working, and straight away I was hearing people in the America Link room. But I want to know how to navigate around and find other places to go. I haven't worked that out yet. So anyway, thanks a lot for the net tonight, Brad. And Bob, good to catch up with you again tonight. Maybe catching up later if you're on these satellites, but I've got to eat. I haven't eaten all day, so I've had a nightmare day. VK2NMZ in the group, I'll say 73 for now, but I am listening and I'll be finishing off preparing my dinner. Cheers all.
Now VK2 NMZ, so VK2HJW, VK2 NMZ. Ray, thank you very much. I'm sure we'll go through and we'll have a chat later on, and we'll try and get that hotspot up and running, and go through and show you a couple of little tricks and bits and pieces like that as well. So that there, my friends, is it for the local 2-meter repeater. And we did go through and have a couple of check-ins from overseas. So what I will go through and do is I'll bump it over to you guys there very quickly before we shut this off, just for a quick hello there and an introduction, and then we'll close this off. So we have via Echolink, we had Kilo Alpha or KA0YCU Robert. If you are still around, this is VK2 NMZ.
VK2 NMZ, Kilo Alpha Zero, Yankee Charlie uniform here. Just getting around for the morning here. Good evening to everybody down below. Hope all's good with the corona bug down there. We're not shut down yet, so I'm getting ready to report in for the morning though.
Kilo Alpha Zero Yankee Charlie uniform, Robert. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to go through and drop in and say hello. It's absolutely appreciated there, and that you came through and took the time out to drop into an Australian net. So just as for some of the latecomers there, is that this net is we go through and do this every Thursday evening, and that is connected to the ham conference server, which is subsequently connected to quite a number of stations overseas. And this net also is live streamed via Facebook as well, and you can go through and find our club's page. If you go onto the Book of Faces and search for Central Coast Amateur Radio Club, you will go through and find that, and eventually this will also come through on YouTube as well. So thank you so much for dropping by there, Robert. It's much appreciated. So I'll go through and I'll move it down there to Winfield, Victor Echo 1, Whiskey India November. This is VK2 November Mike Zulu. The floor is yours.
good evening, gentlemen. Name here is Peter. I know you said Winfield, but that's the gentleman that used to have the call. I picked up the call after he passed away. He passed away in March of 2017, and I picked up his call in 2018, and I've had it ever since. So I have a lot of people think that I'm him, but I don't know why. I guess it's just automatic. I don't know. Yeah, not too much going on here. It's a chilly morning, it looks like. And other than that, not too much. Just wanted to come in and say good evening to everybody down under. And turn it back to net control.
Oh, my apologies there, Peter. I do apologise for that. I just went through and dropped in the call sign into one of the main search engines, and that's what came up. So you may need to go through to the FCC possibly and request that they remove it. Maybe I don't know how that would how that goes through and works. But yeah, thank you for taking the time of coming through and dropping in. That's absolutely fantastic. So we'll move over there to Russell, KB9, NSK, VK2, NMZ.
KB9, names here left. Well, you got names there. I'm just taking a watch TV, and then I looked at you there. Well, I'm getting everything all set up for me to do my net this morning. And I heard your net on there, so I figured I'll check in on your net there. Like I said, I'm just taking a watch TV, and then in a minute, I'm going to get everything set up here when we do the button on the G-Drop conference there. So I just want to say hi to you, buddy, on your net, and same space with KB9 and NSK. Turn you back over to net control.
KB9NSK, Victor Kilo 2, November Mike Zulu. Well, thank you very much for coming through and dropping in. Now, one of the questions is from Emil, VE1ESP, is you did mention about what frequencies are monitored. Now, I'm unsure of what HF frequencies there may be, or what other 2 meter frequencies there are. But there is if you do use and utilize DMR, on the Brandmeister network, there is a talk group of 98009, which was classified as world events. Now, that subject could change depending on what is going through and happening, but if you go through and configure your code plug and have 98009 via the Brandmeister system, you can go through and check into that talk group and see and go through and see what's there. So I guess from this point here, it is 10:13 p.m. local time, and I did wish to go through and say thank you to everybody who has gone through and taken the time to drop into this net. It has been absolutely fantastic. The number of topics that we went through and spoke about and discussed tonight has been amazing, and as well as all of our international visitors that did go through and come across. So at this point here I will be going off and saying 7-3 and closing this net off for the evening, and we'll go through and we'll catch up same bat time, same bat channel, 8 p.m. Thursday Eastern Standard Time, and I wish to say 7-3. And for Ray, with regards to your hotspot, just send me a message and we'll go through and work it out. This has been VK2 NMZ for the Central Coast Amateur Radio Club saying 7-3, and we'll catch you all next week. Good night.